morning and welcome to Face the Nation. On a daily basis, states in the Sun Belt and parts of the West, as well as the U.S. overall, are breaking records with the numbers of new cases of COVID-19. Twice last week, the U.S. recorded more than 70,000 new cases a day, getting closer to Dr. Anthony Fauci's prediction that we might be headed to 100,000 a day. We will bring you the latest on the virus. But first, Bob Schieffer looks back at Congressman John Lewis's life and legacy.
John Lewis was a sharecropper's son, born in 1940 in a part of Georgia that was so rigidly segregated that he had seen only 2 white people when he reached his 6th birthday. He wanted to be a preacher, and he practiced his sermons by preaching to the family chickens.
Some of these chickens would bow their heads. Some of these chickens would shake their heads. They never quite said amen. But I'm convinced that some of those chickens that I preached to in the 40s and the 50s tended to listen to me much better than some of my colleagues listen to me today in the Congress.
It was not what John Lewis said, but what he did that changed America. An activist from his teen years when he heard Martin Luther King on the radio, he was arrested more than 40 times, beaten and severely injured as he took part in sit-ins at segregated Southern restaurants, and later as one of the Freedom Riders who risked their lives by simply sitting in seats reserved for whites on interstate buses.
Free at last! Free at last!
By the time King made his famous speech in Washington, Lewis had become chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
We do not want our freedom gradually.
At 24, he was the youngest speaker that day and delivered a powerful speech, even though organizers deleted his most controversial line, a line which they feared would offend President Kennedy. The line was, "Whose side is the government on?" Lewis continued to play a leading role in the movement, but it was what happened in Selma, Alabama, on March 7, 1965, that would leave John Lewis's name writ large in American history. It was supposed to be a peaceful march of 600 people, but it came to be called Bloody Sunday. On the 50th anniversary of that awful day, I went to Selma and walked with him across the bridge where it all happened.
We were marching in twos in an orderly, peaceful, nonviolent fashion on our way to Montgomery to dramatize to the nation that people wanted to register to vote. I really thought we would be arrested and jailed that day.
When did you realize, when you got to the high point here, that's when you saw all of the law enforcement people down there?
We saw down below the state troopers, and behind the state troopers was the sheriff posse on horseback.
You have to disperse.
And we got to the bottom of the bridge.
See that they turn around and disperse.
And they came toward us, beating us with nightsticks, using tear gas and trampling us with horses.
You were right in the front. And
I was in the very front.
so you were among the first that was hit.
I was the first person to be hit, and I still have the scar on my forehead. And I was knocked down. My legs just went out from under me. I thought I was going to down this bridge. I said to myself, this is the last protest for me.
In a matter of weeks, President Johnson sent troops. The march was completed peacefully, and in the wake of the violence and hatred that had been laid bare in Selma, Congress passed the Voting Rights Act. Elected to Congress in 1986, he fought battle after battle when the odds were overwhelmingly against him. Republican colleagues called John Lewis the conscience of the Congress. Even when he was dying with cancer, when the Black Lives Matter demonstrations erupted, there again was Lewis on the front lines.
I think what the people in D.C. and around the nation are sending a mighty, powerful and strong message to the rest of the world that we would get that.
He made America a better place, and I never knew a better man. This is Bob Schieffer.